We're starting off high.
We can get
I
a two fools agree on that one. Oh, by the way, look, we got the wide shot.
There was you had accountability. Now what I can
Now all you need is a podcast and a YouTube channel.
No, not even.
Where give me the money. Show me the money.
Apparently there's a Foolproof page.
Shoot the J. Shoot it. Live on Facebook.com/Foolproof Entertainment Network. I need you on Twitter. I need you to repost the Facebook pages.
To raise a human before I would
Trust human to raise back wolves?
before I would trust a pack of humans to raise wolves.
Right. I hear you. Yo, what up, fools? Welcome to another edition of Do Fools Agree. As always, I'm your host, Michael Reggie, here with my main man, Clifford Jordan Jennings.
What's happening?
What's up? What's going on, sir?
You know, another one bites the dust.
You know?
Another one bites the dust.
Good stuff. Well, we were talking a little bit before the show just about like this is an episode I'm excited to talk about, and I know I'm probably late to the party. I will give Gordon peas on the on letting me know about it, but we'll get into that here in a little bit.
Okay.
How was your week? How you feeling? Got any inadverts to get us going?
I do have an inadvert, but I think I'm gonna hold off on it.
Okay.
Just because I don't want to hijack the feel of the show.
Yeah, I got you.
Because it's a little deeper and not necessarily in the sense of how I think this is gonna go.
Okay.
It's just with like how things are going in the world, and you know, nobody wants to get caught up on that out the gate.
No, I get that.
So I'm sure it'll come up.
All right. Well.
But yeah, no, my week was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, just been in the gym and shit.
Yeah.
I maxed out that machine.
Did you? Good
yeah,
stuff.
I think it only went up to 250, but
still.
Yeah.
All right. And then I heard your co-host, Malcolm Too Light Skinned King.
Yeah, he's supposed to be
he gonna join us.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I bought a new game because you know that's what camping is about to me. Is going and playing yard games all weekend when I'm not trying to kill people on a hike.
Listen,
that used to be my mom's responsibility, so I don't know what happened there.
Well, she done passed the torch.
You know, it's funny. This is a little bit of an inadvertent thought, but really just a funny statement. A-Reg had soccer practice on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
And I was jogging with the dog around his practice. And do you remember when we were younger playing baseball or football or whatever, and my mom used to just run?
Uh-huh.
I'm like, I've turned into my mother. That's what's
happened. It's in the genes.
I ain't running for the most part, but
what it is y'all nosy and y'all like, well, I can't just sit there with my binoculars, so let me at least walk around while I would be nosy.
No, for me, it's just, you know, if I've got an hour because his practice is like 10, 15 minutes or like 10 minutes from the house, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
nobody wants to leave and come back.
It's 10. Like by the time I get home, I could lay down for 20 minutes or do something for 20 minutes and then go back.
Right.
So I just bring the dog and we walk, and it's good for me and it's good for him. And plus that's where I've been listening to. That was another instance of listening to this podcast that we'll talk about here in a little bit. But before that Thursday and before I turned into my mother, and I sent you this. Go ahead.
My mom just picked me up 45 minutes late, so she probably got a longer nap than you.
Right, right. And anybody that follows me on socials or whatever, you saw this, but I sent you the video, the unedited video. A-Reg, man, he put that 100 up quick, didn't he? And then he got
Yeah.
cocky and he's like, "I'm gonna do the second one." And
It's all right.
he came down too fast and he twisted a little bit.
Uh-huh.
That's what hurt him. And then he evened it back out, and I barely touched the bar. I think I stabilized it for like half a second, and he powered through that second rep.
Right. Yeah, that's the second one is the progress.
Right, right.
You
Because
know, you
before
get
he hadn't been able to get past that first. And I know what it was because it's the same place I used to get stuck. You get it up to about here, and then you got to work triceps to be able to get that final extension.
right. That might be right.
Because
I don't pay attention.
to here is your big muscle groups, it's your chest, but to lock out, it's tricep.
Right.
But either way, dude, it was and I don't know because of the way the video cuts or whatever. He was excited, dude, and that was the probably the most special aspect of it. It wasn't that he hit his goal or his milestone. It was that he was excited about it.
Right.
And so I've got a 10-year-old benching 100 when I had fucking 8th and 9th graders that couldn't do that shit. So
Really?
yeah, dude. Yeah, dude. Now, does
That's
he weigh
crazy.
more than those 8th and 9th graders? Probably. But
Shit, I just found a Christmas picture of my dad. My dad he bought me a bench set
yeah.
for Christmas. I checked him double and body weighted in like the 5th grade.
Right, right. Well, honestly, like that would be huge is that if he could be doing if he could get up to his body weight by the time he hits 7th, 8th grade, he'll be
Right.
good.
Mm-hmm.
He'll be good. And he
That's what's up though.
it was funny because you know, we had the last flag game on Sunday. Man, we were up 20-6. We went up 20-6 right before half, and then these motherfuckers added another 5 minutes to the half because the referees were confused that it was supposed to be 20-minute halves instead of 15-minute halves for this game.
For
And it
real.
totally fucked our momentum, dude. Like we were all excited. We were going to the sideline. They're like, "Nah, you guys, half still going." And I'm like, "Then I wouldn't have called the timeouts that I did. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?"
Right.
And we ended up losing by a score. And I mean, they came back. They outlasted us. But it was still a good season.
Was
Hey,
it
Reg,
raining?
that Sunday, no, it was decent weather.
Okay.
But you know, they were faster than us, but man, I had them out schemed, dude. I had them out schemed, and they beat us to the edge a couple of times.
Yeah. And an extra 5 can fuck you up.
And well, and that's exactly what happened, man. Like, because we went up, we had all the momentum going into the, you know, the 5-minute halftime or whatever, and then they add another 5 minutes to the clock. I'm like, seriously, I called both of my timeouts going into that final drive. Like, had I not called those timeouts, there's still 5 minutes
That
left.
would have
I
been
still
to your
I could have run out the clock.
right. That actually could have been to your benefit.
Right. And so that was frustrating, but at the end of the day, they came back, they beat us. They were good. I mean, I knew most of the kids on the other team, and I was just, fuck you gonna do, man?
Right.
But then they've been cleaning up in soccer. They haven't lost soccer. I don't think they've had a game closer than 4 goals in soccer.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it the same team that you had last year?
For the most part. And I think A-Reg has given up 1 goal in 5 games, if that.
Well, that's what's up.
And the thing is, there are kids who are obviously more athletic than he is in goal. It's the decision making, dude. Like he
Right.
knows where to put it coming out of goal with his goal kicks or his, you know, when he catches it and throws it back out. And plus, with the size of these fields, because I want to say it's like half a field long, or maybe
Oh, really?
quarters of a field long, so it's not a full 100 yards or whatever.
Why not?
Because of the age range and because of space, I'm sure. But it's at least 50 yards, 60 yards, and he's putting it past the half point when he's like throwing it out or goal kicking it out.
Right.
So he's throwing it past midfield and like he's setting up our scorers and strikers to just go get it.
Right.
And then he did have, was it this weekend or last week? I think it was last Wednesday, maybe. Maybe it was the Saturday game. He gets this pass right in front. He's second half, game's nearly over, right in front of the goal. He first of all, he got a hat trick and he only played offense for a half. Second of all, meaning 3 goals.
Right.
Second of all, he gets this. Someone gets it to him in front of the goal, and this dude hits a spin move. Hits a
With the
spin
ball?
move, yes, and comes back and kicks it back in the opposite corner. So like he's going this way with it. The goalie's gonna cut him off. He spin moves and kicks it to the opposite corner. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. You are like he wasn't hitting his usual like power shots.
Right.
It was like footwork shit. And I'm like, he literally shook people 3 times with just footwork skills. And I'm
I
like,
mean,
that's all the quick foot ladder, boy.
right.
That's all that
That shit
ladder work.
clicking. That shit clicking.
I don't care if your mom's a coach. You're doing better at this shit because I'm giving you the quick foot shit on the side.
That's what's up, though.
It was good stuff. All right.
Damn, my guy can't get rid of his parents, can he? Shit.
No.
I gotta see you at fucking school. Practice. Home. Shit. He gonna be sick of y'all by
No
the time
doubt.
he in high
No
school.
doubt. I will ask him as he's going into middle school and then high school, like, you want me to coach or not?
Yeah, that would be nice. Because I'd be like, listen, man, golly.
I look at it as makeup time for only getting him half the time. So.
Right.
Oh, man. Anyway, so circling back. So I'm walking around the park and I'm listening to the telepathy tapes.
Mm-hmm.
And I sent this to Cliff and he's like, whatever, man. I've already known all this shit. And I'm like, fuck you, dude.
It's boring. I mean, I tried to listen to it, but it's kind of boring to me.
Well, and I think that's, and we'll get into this a little bit more, so I don't want to go too deep in it, but like, I think that's why you would probably be more intuitive on this than I would. Because for me, it's the logic aspect of it and the way the tapes are structured and like the scientific backing and like how the
Right.
experiments are done and like all of those pieces. Meanwhile, I think for you, it's more intuition and it's things that, you know, either you've heard and seen before or whatever, but
Right.
it's for me that it hits a great spot. So if you're a logic, you know, type A kind of personality like me, the telepathy tapes might open your mind a little bit.
Right. I do like the way they reference like interviews with the people that conducted the experiments and shit. Like that's different. Actually, the first thing I thought in my mind was, how the fuck can she do that? Like she had to have gotten the backing of the people in order to, which lets me know that this is a lot deeper of a podcast than what I'd imagine it to be, which automatically puts me on the defensive. Like I don't know, like I understand that we're talking about tangible things that have happened, but I don't trust you because they hoard information, and for you to be in bed together, it's like checks and balances. Don't talk about this, talk about that.
And it's interesting because she actually goes into that a fair amount in a couple of episodes. So for those that aren't aware of the telepathy tapes, it's, and she's not a doctor or anything. She's a journalist. Is it Kai? What's her name? Man, I had it all pulled up and then okay, Kai Dickens. And the co-pilot answer, the AI answer is that Telepathy Tapes is a podcast created by Kai Dickens that explores the extraordinary abilities of non-speaking autistic children who are claimed to demonstrate telepathic communication and other paranormal abilities. The series challenges conventional understanding of communication and invites listeners to consider a reality where such phenomena are possible. And so she's really focused on, nonverbal autistic kids.
Right.
And really it's all around this technique that's called, I think it's called spelling. And it's basically they have a letter board in front of them and they like point to the letters to basically
Mm-hmm.
communicate. And what they did in a bunch of these were, I'd call them single blind tests, where the facilitator, so the person who helps the person with autism, would look at something and focus in on it. And the person with autism, without seeing what they were doing, with no verbal communication, no eye contact, no nothing, would spell out what the person was looking at.
Right.
Like cat, dog, a number, blah, 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 whatever. And really, she goes into it a fair amount because the way that she describes it in the podcast is that this community, people in this group, like it's kind of something that everybody knows but nobody talks about because it creates a stigma around it.
Right.
And interestingly enough, it's those that are in like deeply religious communities that have the biggest problem with it because they don't see it as a natural gift or a gift from God. They think it's more demons and those kind of things.
Which
And
is wild.
which
Like
is
that.
wild because we've had this discussion, like the whatever, the higher power, God, like it's consciousness, right? Like
Right.
it's being a part of something bigger than yourself, which I would think would fall directly in line with religion.
Right.
And so what's happened is that spelling as a communication tool has been largely, I don't want to say discredited or debunked, but it's been challenged by the governing bodies of like teachers and those kind of things to basically say it's not a legitimate form of communication.
But they'll have
It's
the gate program and shit.
right, exactly. And so basically she talks about the gatekeeping of information on both sides,
Right.
meaning the authorities and the community itself,
Mm-hmm.
because of fear around like funding going away and things like that, like very real life kind of consequences around this stuff. So, your skepticism or your immediate like ears perking up, like this is something that they wouldn't let out. Well, anybody can publish a podcast for free, Cliff, like
Right.
we do.
Right.
So, like, and I
If they
think
were
it's
if,
I
if they
think
were
it's been
verbal,
buried for a lot. I think it's
if
been
they
buried.
were verbal, they'd be drugging those kids.
Oh, no doubt.
If they knew, they would be giving them acid hits and all kinds of shit if they knew that they could communicate what it is they're seeing, doing,
Well,
who it is they're communicating with.
and the other fear that they don't talk about this a ton in the podcast, but it's something that makes total sense to me, and it probably will to you too. Like the other fear is admitting to telepathy and then being scooped up by some government program.
That's what I mean. That's
Right.
like Stargate, like how they was drugging those kids back in
Yep.
the day, keeping them in those little pods, making them try to remote view their war enemies and shit. They would be using them as tools if they could, but the
Right.
only thing that's saving them is the fact that they're afflicted with that not being able to speak. It's going to be that much harder to get the information out of them, and you don't know what gets lost in translation if you're using a board or a
Right.
iPad for them to communicate. So that's the only thing that saves those kids.
It is, but at the same time, like they talk about things like remote viewing and projection and those kind of things, like within the tapes too, within the
Right.
telepathy tapes too. And so
Right.
it's another ability that and they say what they talk about a fair amount is it's the fact that they're not whole in their own body, meaning
Right.
they don't have the physical world to contend with, so they're always exploring the mind basically and
I
consciousness. And
I don't even know if I think of it as contention. It's just imagine not being able to have access to your everyday things to distract you, your
Right.
phones, your YouTubes, your Netflix, your like when you get to spend nothing but time with yourself, then of course you're gonna like that's how I feel like meditate. All meditation is navigating the brain.
Yeah.
That's all it is going to the places that your brain doesn't actively use on a daily basis to see what it is you can find or do. You know what I'm saying? Like even turning, like when you meditate, even to turn your mind off. Like I look at it like imagine yourself in a house party at a mansion, right?
Yeah.
There's not too many rooms you can go to where you're not going to be bogged down by noise, whether it's people talking, music, whatever the case. Those are your everyday thoughts that you can't get to shut up. But the more you explore that home, you may find a room where it's silent. And I
Right.
feel like I'm away from the party. Now I can turn everything off and decompress. Maybe another room with a telephone. That telephone may be a way for you to communicate with
Communicate.
somebody else without those, lines of communication we know to be true.
Right.
And the more you spend with yourself, the more you start to find those places in your mind you can go to that assist you, with those very things and those telepathy tapes. I think everybody has the ability to do it. It's just the fact that you have so much on your mind on a daily basis when it comes to family, finances, work, then adding in the distractions of your favorite sports teams, your movies, your TV shows, your podcasts. Like these are all things to stop you from going inside
Yeah.
to do those things that they're doing. If you can't do nothing but lay in a wheelchair, that's all you can do all day. Yeah, you can turn a TV on in front of me, but let's be honest, if I don't like the show, I can't tell you.
Right.
So I
Right.
got to go into myself for entertainment.
No doubt. No, I'm
It's
with
all
you.
it's all bullshit, you know what I'm saying? Like there's a reason that they do all these things to, dumb folks down.
No, I agree with that. And I think that what's interesting is, it opening up the conversation at that level, and it's I think you and I both believe that we're capable of more than we know.
Right.
And I think we've talked about that on the show a lot. I think when we start thinking about it as the ability to explore a greater consciousness, that's when things get real interesting to me.
Right. A direct connection to source.
Right. And they talk about that a little bit, and you were immediately like, yeah, they talking about the hill, right? Well,
Mhm.
that was another one that was
I haven't
intriguing to
been
me.
there, government. Listen, they don't even. I don't know. Though. I didn't done a few, so you don't know that them drugs you get gonna do the same thing you hoping
Right.
for.
No doubt. But the hill is basically where it's I wouldn't say like pure consciousness because they talk about interacting with other people, beings, whatever on the hill. But
Right.
basically it's a place where people with these abilities, with this attunement can go and basically connect in a broader sense. And they
Mm-hmm.
talk about how people that have visited the hill, to your point, have like an access to almost unlimited knowledge. And in some cases, it seems like there's something inherent about it, or that they're pulling the information from those around them. And then in
Right.
other cases, it's like they're talking directly to someone who's teaching them while they're on
I mean, the way I interpreted it was be like no different than like our group chat.
there.
Somebody might bring up a topic that the rest of us aren't fully aware of, but that ignites the intrigue to want to look into it deeper. Now all of a sudden, I'm an expert on the topic because we've all learned and bounced these ideas off of each other and like, I
Right.
don't know. I mean, it could be that that's not correct. It could be that they are connecting directly to source and source is downloading this information into all of them. But I would imagine for them to be able to convene in a place like that, it's more so, community than
Yeah.
because if you're just downloading it from source, why would I need to go to the hill?
Well, and most of them talk about it as like a form of community. Like they'll
Right.
find their friends on the hill, and like
Mm-hmm.
they talk about in a couple of episodes these like 2 or 3 kids who met on the hill and then like basically communicated in a way to their parents and like met for the first time in real life, but already seemed like they knew each other
Right.
because
Right.
they had conversed in this the hill, the consciousness. And it's interesting because there are reports of it being called something else, like in the late 80s, early 90s. But then when you get to about, I think it was like 2000 is when the terminology, the hill, like, and they all use it. And like, these are people who've never spoken together before.
Right.
And that to me is like evidence in and of itself that they're using the same language to talk about something when like they don't have access to that information either through the podcast or like did she randomly find 10 people that were in some message group over the years that like that that seems, well, I don't know, that seems conspiratorial
Nah,
and
because
not
even if that was the case, you would have to drill that information into the child
right,
because the child wouldn't be a part of the message groups. They're
right,
not texting or emailing back and forth.
right,
So you would have to get that information from somebody else's text thread and then drill it into your child to the point that they believe that. And when you're dealing with somebody that's that strong minded because that's all they have, it wouldn't work that way. You're
right,
not going to drill anything into somebody like that.
no doubt,
Either they take it and accept it or they, you know what I'm saying, they reject it. But I can't see them like regurgitating information that their parents tried to put in them.
right. No, I'm completely with you. And so that piece has been real interesting. And then they talk a little bit ancillarily about ghosts or spirits or people that have passed. They connect it with, okay, so this is a piece that I wanted to talk about. I'm going through my thoughts in this. They actually connected it to people with dementia and Alzheimer's. And my mind went to, if you're starting to access these abilities for the first time in that late stage of life, is that what causes the disorientation?
It definitely could.
Because what they're saying is like when they're asleep or when they're in kind of a trance like state or a disassociative state, that that's when they have evidence of telepathy with these folks. But when they're awake and they're kind of jumping in their mind, like to me, that almost sounds like, is that an explanation for, Alzheimer's or dementia? Is that for the first time they're starting to access these abilities, and with that being able to travel time, space, whatever in their mind, and then they lose sight of what's reality, quote unquote, the physical world versus
I mean, but there would
something that
have to
they're
be
visiting.
some sort of, there would have to be some sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a mess up there though, right? Because didn't they just recently find out that like don't most people call dementia like type 4 diabetes everywhere
Something like
else?
that.
Yeah, like so we know that there has to be an issue, like a defect in the body for you to,
Is it a defect or are we calling it a defect?
well, it would have to be a defect, right? Because it's not like, so in order to do any of this, first of all, what people have to understand is you're only going to be able to experience telepathy by disassociation, first and foremost.
From
There's
the
no way you
physical.
can, yeah, there's no way you're going to associate everything around you and still be able to speak to somebody else because there's so much going on, and that is like you have to focus on a connection to be able to do that, and there's no way you're going to be able to focus on any sort of connection with any background noise of anything going around you. If it was to where you were just regular, it would be too easy to snap yourself out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
you almost have to, like, I understand why they would put the kids in the pods, with the salt water and shit, because you don't need anything outside of this can take you out of your connection. Just like when you think about Stranger Things, the little
Yep.
11, shut up, everybody be quiet. You're messing with my, you know what I'm
It's the
saying?
sensory deprivation tank. Yeah.
Right. And the dementia in it, like I don't see how it could be considered like a superpower, right? When you have no control over the disassociation.
Correct. So I guess to your point, like it's the lack of control, you think, from what you're saying, it's the lack of control that makes it
Right.
a
Like that'll kick
disease or
you in.
whatever.
Right. That'll kick you into it. But
What
like,
what's interesting is that there's one particular episode where they talk about this woman who had dementia, and this other woman who lived, I don't know, like 5-10 miles away, began seeing like an apparition of a little girl in her house, and the little girl would play and like hang out and like just spend time with the kid, and the kid and the mom saw it, the dad never saw it, but
right.
the kid and the mom like fully believed this. Well, they looked around the house, found, I don't know, found something in an attic or a garage or a basement or whatever that wasn't theirs, and they found basically a picture or something, and they started showing it around town, and they're like, well, no, that's, they eventually come across somebody who's like, no, that's so and so, he used to live here, go talk to Dave down the street. And Dave's like, yeah, that's Amelia and Steve. And Amelia, it couldn't possibly be Amelia as the little girl because she's still alive. She lives like a mile over that way in a care facility. And when this woman walked into the room, the story goes that like Amelia recognized her.
Right.
And it was because in her mind she was visiting her old house, and this woman happened to remind her of her mother, and she knew the mom's name, the dad's name, the kid's name without ever having met them before.
Right. I mean, I feel like
So
that's
that's
the
that's where I'm like, I hear you. Getting put into that state would be the disease portion, but is the disorientation, is it because people are traveling in their mind?
oh, definitely. Definitely. I mean, from a like, I don't have to be a scientist to know that. Like, people daydream all the time.
Right.
And when you daydream, you can wave hand in front of their face and they're not recognizing it because eyes wide open, but they're
They're
disassociated.
disassociated. Yep.
It's just that with that, a daydream usually comes from, like younger individuals whose mind's pretty, a lot sharper than I'd imagine somebody with dementia. So you can snap them in and out.
Yeah.
But
Well,
it's almost like with dementia, it seems like they're disassociating, but not only though, they're shutting the door behind them in that house party.
right.
So you see them, right? Like you see them, you think it's just as simple as tapping them on the shoulder. But in all actuality, that door is shut. You're not getting in here with me. I've traveled to a place in my mind and shut the door. That dementia, I just feel like it's how long will that door stay shut? Do
Right.
you have the power to open it back up, or do you have to wait until your mind snaps out of it?
Yeah. No, I think that makes sense. So
But
maybe
I
it's
don't.
a bleed of the two. To
Right,
your
right.
point.
I think that definitely makes it easier for someone to get into that state. And it's almost I would imagine it's almost to the point of a lot of these people may not even be, what's the word that I want to use? Like, what is, like, it's not like my great grandmother, as an example. It's not like you meditate. You know what I'm saying? It's not like you were deep in, thought. You weren't like how do I put it? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you were sitting, if you weren't cooking, you were watching soap operas or The Price is Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't like you were an internal type person.
Yeah.
So I almost look at it as like, well, maybe that's the source saying you didn't spend enough time with yourself.
Yeah.
Let me show you what was possible if you would have done so.
No, it
And it's
makes
like
sense.
now they're deeper in that disassociative state because it's your first time being there. You know what I'm saying? When your first time anywhere that's unusual to you, you kind of get captivated by your environment.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I would view dementia so much as the superpower as I would the catalyst to it. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Well, and here was the other thought I had on that. So here's my inadvertent thought on all of this was not necessarily to your point a superpower, but what if it is the all, the supreme being, the consciousness, the force, whatever you want to call it. What if that's basically they're getting you prepped for entering this new stage of being pure consciousness without a body?
That could be as well, right?
And it's almost like a training ground, like, hey, your time's running up. Because people
Right.
people with Alzheimer's and dementia typically don't last too long.
Right.
Like that's usually some sort of terminal diagnosis. Not saying that people can't go, a decade with it or whatever, but I think that's pretty rare. Um, but what if it is life, nature, God's way of basically preparing you for this life of, uh, pure consciousness versus a physical realm?
I mean, I think that definitely could be the case. It raises a whole bunch of other questions. You know what I'm
What do you mean?
saying?
So let's talk through some of the questions, or what are you thinking?
I don't even know how I would. So, I mean, immediately my mind goes to, would you recognize it though?
What do
Would
you
you
mean? Would you
recognize it?
recognize it?
Like, okay, so just like you said, the woman who had dementia who was visiting her home and was showing up as a younger version of herself.
Yeah,
She was consciously choosing a time where she remembers herself as young.
yeah,
That's a human existence thing.
true.
Once
Okay, I
you
get what you're
cross
saying now.
over, this is not familiar. I don't know Mike by, bald headed with a beard. It's going to take something else for me to connect to you and recognize you in that realm because now we are who we were always supposed to be. We're
Right.
not these skin suits, we're not these vehicles anymore.
But what if that pure consciousness is the ability? I hear you. I look at it almost as like that pure consciousness is the ability to visit any time, any place. Like that's not all it is,
I just
but
think
you
it's
have the ability to do that once as
right.
pure consciousness.
Like people say, time happens everywhere all at once.
Right.
Like, so there's like right now, even though we're 38, 39 years old, our child selves are still existing at some point.
Right.
Even though we're no longer children, they're still
They're
here
still in
somewhere.
existence. Yeah.
Right. But again, that's also a human way of thinking. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because I think who is it, Bashar or whatever? He talks about it. Other people have talked about it through the ages. Like reincarnation is real, but you're living all those lives at the same time.
Right.
Meaning
Right.
you're experiencing this reality versus different realities. It's to your point. It's all happening everywhere all at once.
Right. And then another thing I would think of like the hill itself, like that would have to be a human experience as well, right? It's not like these kids say, well, we all meet up on a star
Right.
or we all meet in like a planet's atmosphere. Like, no, you're meeting in what you've seen with your human eyes. But we all know when you pass, it's not that we're not in that same realm of existence anymore.
Yeah.
You might not be in a valley full of dandelions.
Right.
You might be in the cosmos somewhere and you can't, like, how could you even explain what it is you're seeing? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Exactly.
So the preparation, like I think it might be a way to open your mind to things that you didn't believe to be true, but I don't know that it would just be so much preparation for a crossover.
Right.
And if that was the case, I would imagine there would be no need for your what's it called, your serotonin to be released when you die.
Yeah.
That peace serum to take you at ease you into it. Why would I need eased into it if you were preparing me for it? You know what I'm saying?
I hear you. I hear you. But that's also that easing you into it. That's a human decision.
What you mean?
Like giving you the morphine drip or whatever the drug is to
No, no,
base.
no, 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 no. I don't mean like through a hospital. You know how they say you release that when you die, like
Yeah,
whether
yeah, yeah.
it's a traumatic experience as you're passing. That's why they say when people die, they start seeing things around them. You know, people start staring off at things, and you're like, you know, nothing's there. Well, you don't know that because that drip could be going as we speak, which is entering them into that new realm, and
Yeah.
that veil is lifting, which is why they're seeing angels, faces, even demons, depending on how you live. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I hear you.
But if the dementia was to basically prepare me for that crossover, then there would be no point of that drip, you know, from my
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I hear you.
spine. Otherwise, that drip would kind of it would like distort the view that you had as someone with dementia to, you know what I'm saying?
No, I
And
hear
I don't
you.
know, I could be completely wrong, but it just doesn't.
For
And if
you, it
that was the
doesn't
case,
track. Yeah,
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 I
yeah.
would imagine there would be a lot more people that would go through that
That aspect of it.
state. And not only at the ages of 65 to 80, you would
Well,
have young people
and that's where it's to your point, like, is it a specific type of person, group of persons, a mindset thing? Like, I don't know. I think that it just opens questions. And I
yeah,
think that
no,
it's one of
definitely.
those things that, again, that was an inadvertent thought that was like, well, it happens in older folks, and older folks are moving towards this, like, I wonder kind of
You
thing.
know what would be an interesting experiment, and it may have already been done and just not tracked by someone. It would be interesting to meditate with someone who was disassociating through dementia. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Because
yeah, yeah.
if it would ever be a better time to connect to them, it would be that time.
Yeah.
So to like be in the
Well, and
same room.
they talk about that in the tapes. Uh-oh. We have a guest.
Okay. My guy,
Caller, you're on the air.
you muted. There you go.
Unmuted. Unmuted. Remuted. Hey, unmute my ass. Fucking this AI won't unmute me. It's an unmutiny.
This nigga crazy.
It's an unmutiny. Let's unmute ourselves.
What's happening?
What's good,
What's
man?
going on?
I'm gonna blame you for this, dude. You're the reason for the episode tonight, because usually I will eventually get around to links and videos and podcasts that you send, and I will acknowledge that unless it's Star Wars or UFO related, I'm like 50% to watch it. Um, I've listened to all.
Well, okay, but
I've listened to
it's
all of the telepathy tapes in a week.
well because it's not directly related, but it's still related.
It is, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, it is. Because
You're
it's
right.
like because they talk about consciousness, and that's it's all about consciousness,
You're absolutely
So
correct.
it's like I mean it's still it's part of it. You have Cliff, have you been watching the Skywatcher?
Nah, what's that?
So these guys. That's what I was talking about. Like those ex-military guys. Like one of them's called. His name's Jake Barber. Just look him up on YouTube.
Okay.
And he wasn't he was never in like a he was never in any of the branches of the military, but he was in like his shit was so secret that there was no branch for it.
Right.
And yet he still has all these skill sets. He still knows how to fly a helicopter, which I think is
He's
pretty
CIA.
difficult.
He's CIA. He can't talk about it, but he's CIA. That's
I don't
my guess.
I don't know if he's CIA, but you remember that game the game with the guy like on the cover, and he had like it wasn't night vision, or maybe it was night vision, but he looked like he had like three optical lenses, and then there was
Splinter
like,
Cell.
Yeah,
I
so
think it
I
was
think it's
Splinter
Splinter
Cell,
Cell.
right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
that guy was supposed to be a NSA agent, right? Now I don't know if that's ever existed, but like when I think of NSA, I think of nerds with computers, right?
Yep.
I don't think of
Like in the field.
I don't think of
Black
field
site
agents.
type shit.
Right.
However, why wouldn't it exist?
Right.
Like every other intelligence agency has field agents.
Right. Right.
They all
Well, and
have field agents.
yeah,
You know?
you have to have somebody who's gathering the
I'm a field
data.
agent. Just kidding.
You have to have somebody that's gathering the data for the nerds to look at.
I mean, but not really, because I mean they can just tap into everything. So they don't.
Yeah, but if you're not doing direct experiments and you're just getting a download of information, it's
You don't know
different.
how accurate that person
Right.
is.
That's true. It's true.
Like who's gonna check his work? And if he's the best one at this remote viewing, then I can't even have a secondhand remote viewer go behind him to check his work because you're not as good as him anyway.
Right,
So we
right.
don't know that you're not messing up what he thought he saw. So now you got to send somebody there to confirm.
Well, and it's funny because that was in like the second to last episode of the tapes that's been released so far. She talks about like they need to do a double blind study, but you can't do double blind in a sense because the facilitator and the person and the nonverbal person, like they work together.
Right.
Like it's almost shared consciousness at that point.
Yeah, you have to connect. That's why I said it would be interesting for someone to do the experiment of like a relative with Alzheimer's or dementia to truly meditate with them, while they're disassociating to see if you can't build that connection faster.
Well, and that's what I was about to say before Gordon joined, and then Gordon, we're going to circle back to Skywatchers, because I have looked at some of the stuff that you were talking about, how they can call like 7 different types of UFOs.
Oh yeah,
and that shit.
I've kind of tried that.
Yeah. So
you tried it as in you've tried to summon UFOs. So what kind did you see? Did you see a type 2 or did you see a type 5?
I didn't see anything. And to tell you the truth, I don't even think that I like, because I heard it probably like on a podcast or something I was listening to while I was driving, and it was just like a split second urge, like while I was like pumping gas, and you don't know that this motherfucker wasn't en route as you shook your nozzle and pulled out of the gas station.
Well, I mean, it's not you don't, but they're probably they're above us all the time,
right?
Yeah.
So they could be en route,
right.
And it's a good word, en route, by the way.
Yes.
I like that.
Right. You got to give it time.
Like,
I feel like you got to give it time if you're going to do something like that. Like the same way you would sit and meditate for at least a half an hour, you got to sit out there gazing up for that same half an hour while you're attempting to bring that to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what it seems like. Yeah, it seems like they got to sit for a while.
Right.
Before
not no
5-minute
gas pump.
Right.
Type shit. Like that's almost kind of That's almost kind of like you have too much fucking confidence, sir. If you think in 5 minutes, this motherfucker gonna be like, "Hey, that nigga down there, Chris, just saying what's up. Let's go check him out." Like you ain't even get an alien time to get his clothes on. You feel what I'm saying? Like, he might still be in bed. He's like, "Oh, this nigga calling me."
It's like Cliff. It's like Cliff with the "I'm on my way." He ain't leaving for another 15 minutes.
Listen, I'm on time.
Cliff is sending up the bat signal. He's sending it up.
Listen,
It's
that's the last connection to my puzzle. If I find out that I can summon a fleet of, I say, okay, now I can start putting my plan together.
Cliff, what are we doing tonight? The same thing we do every night, Mike.
Trying to take over the world. You hear me?
Who was somebody mentioned that cartoon up in Cincinnati. I was at I didn't tell you guys, my grandmother just passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry
a couple
to
weeks
hear
ago.
that.
Yeah, she was 97, so she lived
She lived a
Right.
good life.
a long, good life, you know.
Right.
And she lived a very privileged life. She was a black lady living in Cincinnati in a mansion in the 1950s,
Oh, wow.
1940s and 1950s. So she was like that was like money back when niggas weren't supposed to have money, you know?
Right.
So she lived a good long life, and you know, her family reflects that you know, that I don't know,
Aspect.
academic prestige and all this shit. Like I got a cousin up there in Columbus. I don't know if I ever told you guys. I got a cousin. He's a federal judge, and
No, this is good information to have, though.
and his son, who I love, he's my buddy. My cousin, he is like, imagine your dad is a federal judge. What are you gonna think of the law as you grow up?
You're either going to be super into it or super against it.
Right.
You're not gonna give a fuck. And he is not giving a fuck. And he's like, he's got like 3 DUIs. You know?
Goodness.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Yeah.
Don't be putting people on blast on the show, man.
Well, you don't know what I'm talking about.
That's fair.
Well, I mean, I guess it's pretty easy to. Well, you don't know who I am, so.
Just iPhone
well,
Gordon.
I guess my name is there. How do I make myself private? You'd have to do some digging because it's not the same.
Right.
You know, there's many Gordons. There's many
There are
Gordons.
a lot of Gordons out
Well, there's not that many Gordons actually. But
I don't know. I
still
feel
have to
like
do
it's
some
one of those.
digging.
I feel like it's one of those names that's on the comeback.
Oh shit.
You'd still have to do some digging. You'd
You
have to do some digging.
would.
That's funny. That's funny as hell.
Yeah. But anyhow, I don't know what I was gonna say.
Skywatchers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's what I was telling you. Like they got all special forces. It's all special forces. It's like Green Berets. Like I said, Green Berets have to speak a foreign language fluently because they like send them into like like the shit that we were playing on that game. That's what they do. Like
Right.
on Rebellion.
Rebellion, Splinter Cell, all that kind of stuff.
Green Berets go and start insurgencies in foreign countries that we're not supposed to be in.
Right.
That's what they do.
Yep.
Right? And then Navy SEALs, we know about Navy SEALs. Navy SEAls, you know, like you call Navy SEAls when you can't call anybody else. You know, you got to go kill Bin Laden or whatever.
Assassinations. Call them what they are.
Yes, assassinations, yes. And I think they probably all do assassinations.
To some
they
extent.
probably all got like special divisions that focus on assassinations. I don't know, but
right.
You got Rangers, you got Delta Force, all that shit, and like these guys in Skywatch are all like special forces guys for some reason, you know.
Now, I've heard that it's not just them though. I've heard that there's a lot of regular Joes that they've come across that have been able to do this as well.
Yes. But yes, in a way. But that's what I was telling Mike earlier. everybody can do this. Supposedly.
And Cliff was saying that earlier too.
Well, I believe that in reference to like telepathy and things like that,
Okay.
but I don't know so much about summoning, you know, people in the sky. Like that seems like you would have to have some sort of connection, whether it be by DNA, maybe abduction, maybe, because let the government tell that they have contracts with people, these species that they have meetings and they,
What do
speak
you
with each other.
what do you mean by that?
Like, okay, so I to use the word contract is just what I interpret, right? But
It's a
anytime
good
we
word though. I
know
understand what you're saying.
anytime we know our government has had contact with these individuals and have formed treaties, so to speak, like where this is our area, you don't really come into here. That seems to me like a contract.
Yeah, and
Like,
Yeah, it's an agreement. Yeah,
that's been
right.
right.
something that's been discussed a fair amount of times, is that
Mm.
these beings, these entities, whatever you want to call them, non-human intelligence, do have agreements in place with major world leaders around, hey, you have until this time to introduce us, otherwise we're going to start showing up.
I heard that was
Well,
definitely the case with
I
Russia.
hadn't heard that. I heard about that contract,
They've talked
but I
about
mean,
that for a while, and like the year is coming up because it was 2027.
well, did you see that? Did you see the thing in? I sent it to you. The sphere in Colombia.
Yep, I did.
That's some alien shit. It's not. It's not human.
I don't know.
It's
That
not
one,
human.
that one, I couldn't get a sense for the scope of it, like how big it was.
It's
And
not
I
that big.
agree, there are like,
It's
right,
not big.
it was pretty small. And then like there was writing on it, but like I don't know all the languages in the world, so I couldn't tell you because it does look like there's inscriptions and stuff on it.
I mean, neither do I, Mike. But I mean, it's not. It's not Spanish.
I don't know. No, you sent
It's
it to the
not.
I hear
group
you.
chat.
It's not Chinese.
He might have just sent that one to me. I can't
Oh,
remember.
okay.
Well, hold on. I mean, we can. You know.
Gordon's
Hey,
got all
listen.
this shit ready to go, man.
Oh, I know he does. If
It's
anybody's doing that motherfucking
2025.
research,
You know. 2025, baby.
Gordon never stopped doing his
He
research.
doesn't.
I
But I'm
think I sent it
glad.
to the. I sent it to the group. I think.
Okay.
Oh, sure.
Some reason
Let
I
me
thought
see.
you sent it to
That's what I
me.
was scrolling to see.
Let me see here.
It was just in like the last 2 or 3 days, I
It's very
thought.
recent. Very, very recent.
Oh, then no, it's not because I'm all the way back in April
What
looking
the?
for the group chat.
Okay, hold on. I'll find it real quick. So, Colombian clean. No, just kidding. Not Colombian clean. That's not it. Colombian
Sphere.
strong.
Oh, you did. This was Tuesday, and you did send it to the group chat.
I sent it to the
Really?
group chat.
Then I must have.
I got it. I'll resend it.
It just happened a couple days. It's just very recent, just a few days ago.
Yeah.
And I can't even find it. I'm typing it in. This should be the first thing popping up on Google.
No, because they're hiding this shit, Gordon. You
Should be
of all
it should be
people
the
should know
very
this.
first thing popping up on Google.
You
Should
of
be the
all
very first
people
thing.
should know that Google is in alignment with the powers that be, especially now.
This is the very first thing. It should be the very first thing popping up. I can't even fucking find it.
The
I
tech
can't find it.
oligarchy, the tech bro oligarchy, dude. They shut this shit down, bro.
I cannot find it. I
I
can't even
just
find it.
I just resent the link to the group chat.
Okay. All right. I don't like that. I don't like how much power they got. I don't really
Oh
fuck with
no,
that.
it's the myth of the free and open internet has been destroyed. It doesn't exist anymore. You can
Yeah.
find pockets, but even then, like that shit's being monitored, manipulated, whatever. And they feed conspiracy theories. They feed, they feed both sides, and that's counterintelligence to a T. Is
Well, because they can
if you right
okay.
if you muddy the waters enough, it don't matter because once
That's
the
true. It
waters
doesn't
are
matter.
muddy.
That's exactly right. If everybody's confused, it doesn't fucking matter because
Right.
this shit is like it's confused. Nobody cares anymore because it's like, what is it? Is it A or B or C or is it D? I don't know.
And
Who cares?
that's my constant journey with the UAP shit, dude, is that
Hmm.
it fascinates me, but it also is like, well, we're never gonna know at this point. So
You
like,
don't think
why
that that
waste
could
my
be
time?
human?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think that because they show you where it was flying and then it dropped
Right.
and then that's like a close up of this of the sphere, and I've never seen that language before in my life.
I mean,
Again,
I just feel like it's small. Like
Yeah.
you said, I feel like we have technologies that they don't release to us. And if you have a small metal ball, I'm sure that you can magnetically or through the ether manage for it to, levitate or float or whatever the case may be.
Well, the way
with our knowledge, you're saying with humans' knowledge, or what are you saying?
well, I think it is.
Based off of technologies that aren't released to us. Like we know that there's all
Okay.
kinds of stuff going on, even with the Tesla towers and stuff. Like there's ether around us at all times. If you're accessing it, then it may not be that the object's moving at all so much as you're manipulating the ether around it to get it to.
Right.
You're not
It's
completely off basis with that. But that's alien.
it's
If it was
That's definitely alien.
bigger, I would be like, oh yeah, that's the, you know what I'm
But
saying?
let me ask you this: why is the size what sways you one way or the other? The size, I mean, the size could be anything. I mean, like, if I'm an alien civilization from 100 million miles away, I was about to say 1,000 miles away.
Right,
That's it's not that far. Um, Matter of fact, 1,000 miles, I think, is where the moon is. I think.
something
something
like
like
Uh,
that.
that. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
yeah, and like the James Webb telescope, which is very cool because the James Webb telescope, just so I can brag on that real quick, is it's in the Lagrange point behind the Earth. So the Lagrange point is a point in space where gravitational pull is canceled out. So you can put something there, and there's three space based telescopes at the behind Earth Lagrange point, and they're just sitting there. But anywhere else, they'd be pulled into like
They'd be pulled into
Earth's
an orbit.
orbit or the sun's orbit or another planet's orbit, Mars's orbit. But at that point, and there are there's one, two, three, four. I think there's 4 or 5 of them in space where you can put something and it won't move.
Right.
And that's where the James Webb telescope is right now. Kind of cool.
That
I,
is
I like
cool.
that shit.
Yeah,
You know?
no, that's cool.
But anyhow, yeah,
I just
that
I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. I was just
I
gonna
don't have
before I
anything
lose
else
the
to say.
thought. The only reason why I get caught up on size is because human nature is to start out small. Any experiment we do it on a miniature scale before we take it to a larger scale. So if it was larger initially, I would say that's not human. But the fact that it's small enough that I feel like we can manipulate it, that would make me believe, you were trying to do something.
I hear you, but then I also hear that there are, 4 different species of non-humans that we've interacted with, and one of them is the small grays, which are like 3 feet tall. So like
Right,
having
but
something that's smaller in
I mean,
nature doesn't
I
surprise me.
wouldn't be surprised if something didn't hop out 10 foot tall just because they
Right.
can manipulate space and matter. But
Oh, we gonna circle back to the 10 feet or the Titans or whatever that you sending me. You sending me dirty Titan pics. We'll get to that here in a
who
little
did
bit.
that? I did
You
that.
did that. You sent me a fucking
What the hell
reel
is
on
that?
Instagram of this
Dirty
rock
Titan
cave
pics.
Oh
that's shaped like a
yeah.
vagina that you can go inside of and it matches a uterus perfectly. And I'm
But
like,
did
why
that not
is
look like one?
Cliff is sending me fucking geological porn over
I'd have
here.
just
Oh,
been
wow.
running. I'd have just been running in and out as fast as I could. Like,
And
what
that-
the
and
fuck
she-
is he doing?
She's still
Geological
asking. She's
Trying to see if there's
porn.
water in the cave. That's what I'm doing. I'm running in and out as fast as I can.
And she's still asking, is he in yet? Oh,
That's
just
when
me.
you-
Sorry.
That's when you just put your hand on the walls.
You
You
feel
gotta
that?
put it-
You feel
it's
that?
up-
You
it's
start
up
looking
and-
like, what is
you
that,
gotta-
David?
you gotta walk in. You gotta walk in a little bit,
Oh,
Cliff,
what
and then
the
reach
statue?
behind you and hit the ceiling.
With the circle
That's-
around him and it has all the dimensions.
Are you
like
talking
this.
about the statue in Rio de Janeiro?
No, I'm talking about the it's like a picture of a dude with curly hair and his legs are spread and his arms are out and it's like a circle around
Oh yeah,
him.
the
Yeah, the
Leonardo da
Da
Vinci.
Vinci.
That
The Vitruvian Man.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
You got to
Yes.
the word before I did, but I knew it was Leonardo.
Mhm. Honestly,
Leonardo da Vinci.
he was the first one to find the Titan box.
They
They was like, why is this his pose? Because he was trying to get
He
all
was
sides.
trying to make the best of the situation.
right. Right.
He didn't want to just leave. He was thinking about just leaving,
I mean,
and
but
he
where
made
else-
the best of the situation.
And
where
see-
else would you feel comfortable?
And see, Cliff, there's where I know that you don't want to be inside. You want to be reaching up right at the entrance, going back and forth.
I didn't see no stalactites in there. Though.
Yeah, true.
Just a little, it's just a little rock protrusion.
Listen, I've
Maybe like a big button. I don't know.
That motherfucker was repelling down the.
you know, I'll admit, I don't know if this is saying anything about me, but I've experienced a couple of girls like that, and you know, I just looking back at it makes you feel like less of a man. But I don't know if you really are less of. I think what they say is true about, you know, girls all being different sizes, and that's what I like to believe about that, and it's not about me. It's more about them.
Next
That's
time
what
they
I
do
like to
that,
believe.
what you do is you just grab your trunk and keep it and keep your hand on it while you motion.
And I will say,
You know,
that,
it's not that it's a hot dog down a hallway, but that's a really big hallway. Like I said.
Exactly.
Oh man, y'all crazy. As hell.
Exactly.
I'm hot.
So, hey, you know, we're all
That's
hey, we're all
hilarious.
just living this life, and we're all just trying to get through it. You know.
You
so,
know?
We are, and there's more out there, man. Like these telepathy tapes have had me thinking all week, and
yeah,
like
you're gonna continue to think about it because it's like I said, it's paradigm shifting because we're all taught that like this shit is this bullshit. It's like science fiction, and then when like they're proving it with empirical evidence, it's no longer fake. It's
Right.
it's real.
well,
So-
and what they talk about a ton towards the end of at least the end of the most recent couple of episodes is getting into like the gatekeeping around it and how like I say serious, but same thing with like USOs, UAPs, whatever, like mainstream media isn't covering it. We're hearing about the telepathy tapes because a friend of a friend told us, right? Like it's something that isn't garnering that mainstream experience or that mainstream attention. And then I go on the website and I'm looking at the video experiments. Like I'm watching the video of this shit happen.
Oh, I was thinking about doing that. I don't know why I haven't done it yet, but I've just been busy. But
Yeah, they've got a ton of like I'd call it otherwise B-roll footage, but research footage. And she says that no one has reached out to her about like a university wanting to do a study or whatever, and it's because it's all tied to government
Okay.
grants, etc.
what?
They can't.
Right.
Well,
It can't
yes,
reach out.
the doctor, what's her name?
She's the podcast host isn't a doctor. She's just a
Not the host,
journalist.
the doctor that the
Oh,
doctor that was in there.
I'm blanking on
I
her
don't know,
name.
but they, as soon as so she did a study on this,
Yeah,
and they pulled her license.
right.
They
Right.
pulled her bar license. I mean, like
Diane Powell.
without even looking at it. They didn't even
Right.
look at the fucking evidence. They were like, you're not a doctor anymore.
Because it goes against the structure itself. Like if people knew
Exactly.
that this was real, there is no more college. There is no more none of that because you're wasting your time with this information when you could be accessing that.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that. I think that I understand what you're saying, by the way. Um, you still, we, all of us, all three of us cannot automatically pull information out of the sky, okay? Despite the fact that somebody can,
Right.
Right.
right? So there's still a need for education and still a need for us to
It's
But
a
I say
different
be
that
type.
educated.
It's a
I
different type
say
of
that
education.
I say that from a standpoint of what it is you want out of life. So if you want a high paying job and all that, then yeah, you would want to go to college. But if you're focusing on life beyond this realm, and
Makes it
you have
difficult.
right,
Right.
like why would I care about your finances if I could, get closer to source to the point that if reincarnation is real, source recognizes me every time I come back
Right.
because I did the due diligence and went through the places in my mind to be able to develop these skills. It makes those skills seem so innate. Like, so you're gonna tell me
I get
about
what you're
a
saying.
lied history? Like, what are you gonna? Why am I coming here? Why am I paying you to dumb me down? So I can make money in this life? I can't take it with me.
Right.
Yeah.
No, that's fair.
Well, that's a fair argument.
Well,
I want source to
Fair
recognize
argument.
me every time I come around.
Well, and it's one of those things, and it circles back to kind of what Cliff and I started the show with, which was I talked to Cliff about this, and he was like, "Yeah, I mean, like
It's boring to me a little bit.
you didn't already know all this, like." And for me, and he said he was bored with the telepathy tapes, but for me, and I think for you, Gordon, because you and I have always kind of had this analytical side to us. And not that Cliff isn't analytical. I think we're more into the
A different
research.
analysis,
Right.
a different analytical.
Right.
Right.
We're both more
I didn't take that as
logic side.
dumb.
All right. I just wanted to make sure
Yeah, I didn't take that as dumb.
because I don't think you dumb.
Right.
But from a logic standpoint, like
Nobody thinks you're dumb.
it resonated with me. And
Yeah.
like it to your point, like, yeah, it opened my eyes a bit. It made me think and question and like I was telling Cliff earlier, like I turned into my mom, I'm doing like walks around the park while Andrew's practicing. And like I'm sitting there and trying to kind of disassociate, trying to look inward and like maybe trying to mentally talk to the dog. Like, cause they have that animal researcher, that animal communicator on there a bunch. And it came to me this week on like Thursday, especially because I've been doing all this like house remodel shit over the last 2 weeks and listening to the telepathy tapes. And it just kind of came to me today like Kylo wants his bed in the office. Like so that he can come sit with me while I'm working from home. Like he's almost lonely when I'm there because he's not in the room with me because he's in a different room. And I tell you what, dude, I had that thought yesterday. I put the thing in the office today, and he was in there like every 10 minutes with me.
It's
Whereas
energy.
usually when I work from home, like he acts like I'm not there. And it's not that he's
Right.
acting like I'm not there, it's that he has nothing to do, nowhere to sit, nowhere to see until I put his cot, his bed, like next to the window in my office. And he was in and out all day, in and out of my office all day. Like that wasn't
Interesting.
something I had ever really considered before.
Right.
Because
I,
you weren't trying to think from the perspective of your dog.
I don't think so. Now, to your point, Gordon, like I did have the thought yesterday, like, why does he look lonely when I'm home? Or he's excited, like, when I finally get up and I, like, come over to the couch or whatever. And I don't know. And then that led to putting the cot in the office. And, you know, to your point, Gordon, like, it could just be me trying to, or I'm looking at things closer than I have before. And so that thought came to me. But either way, like, being
Yeah,
more
but
mindful in that
maybe
regard.
Right. You're getting warmer.
Right.
maybe you thinking about that is you. Well, obviously it is, right? You are
It's a
getting
connection
closer
to the
your
dog. Right.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, like, don't dogs sometimes save people?
Yeah, no, there's all sorts of evidence around, like, a dog knows, you know, I mean, they've got trained dogs that can tell when something's about to happen before machines can. Like, they've
Yeah.
got, to your point, you know, the whole Lassie
They can also
thing. Like,
smell. They can smell through concrete.
right.
They
Right.
can
Shit
smell
like that.
disease in you.
They can.
Right.
Yes.
They,
They can also smell disease in you.
well, and
Yeah.
they specifically have dogs now that are more accurate in terms of, like, sugar crashes for diabetics or seizures for epileptics, where, like, they
They know it's
recognize it
coming, right?
before a machine does. Like, even people who wear the ambulatory monitor for diabetes and have, like, the sensors and the stick on patches or whatever that's connected to your phone, like, the dog will catch it before that does.
See, that's why I think like it goes with like why they say it's illegal to commune with dolphins, right? Because certain people's connections are stronger than others.
Yeah.
And whether it be a dog, an animal in the wild, whatever the case may be, that can tap you in, so to speak. You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
And can I add to that? I've never told anybody this, but I fucked a dolphin.
Nigga is crazy.
And unfortunately, that was the one that made Gordon feel like less of a man.
Yeah. It was telepathically like, my nigga, are you in there? Grab your trunk. Do it that way.
I'm just kidding. I never fucked a dolphin.
Oh shit.
Oh man, that one that's one the AI is gonna clip out right there.
That is hilarious.
Of course it will, right?
And Gordon's gonna
The
go
AI
viral.
doesn't like humor.
Gordon's gonna go viral for wanting to fuck a dolphin.
The AI doesn't understand humor.
Nah, that one chick was the only one I know of that got that off.
Yeah, who?
You know that one that was at the zoo or whatever,
Oh.
and she developed a relationship with the dolphin, and she was doing experiments, and she was jacking it off because it was like, and it ended up. She said that she fell in love with the dolphin.
Oh wow!
And they shut down the whole program.
And that's why we're not allowed back at SeaWorld.
Did you ever see there was a King of the Hill episode where he would get in the pool with the dolphin, and then to illustrate the dolphin getting aroused, they would put like a red circle over the dolphin's junk. It was hilarious.
I missed that episode.
I don't know if it's one of my favorites, but it's memorable.
It's
a memorable King of the Hill episode. You know that's the thing, right? Like, it's like, I don't know if it's really my favorite, but I do remember it.
Right.
You know? It's not I don't really like it that much, but I do remember it.
Shit.
I do remember it.
Right.
It is memorable.
South Park does that
backing out the room.
did that a lot.
Like this. Backing out slow.
He's doing the Homer.
Oh shit, that is hilarious. Maybe that's why they don't. Maybe it's not a telepathy thing. Maybe it's like the dolphins got the most game of any animal species, and you'll get fucked.
Maybe
You'll get fucked. So stay away from them.
And just
But
remember that orcas are a breed of dolphin.
I'm just saying, like dolphins
Oh,
help
yeah.
childbirth and all
You'll
that.
get-
Anytime the animal can help childbirth and has the ability to game up a human being, your kids
Dol-
might pop out with a blowhole at the top
Think
of your
about
motherfucking head.
think about that. Dolphins can game up humans, and nobody can game us up except for other humans, right?
You know what's crazy?
Oh, dolphin, where?
You know what's crazy is maybe
Fuck you, dolphin.
Fuck you, dolphin.
maybe it's a situation where it's like projection of feelings. Like, have y'all ever done that? Like I've been around like strangers in a sense, and like whether it's like at the bar or something, and you're like projecting feelings towards them to see if they bite. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if a dolphin has that telepathy ability, I could imagine like they may be projecting feelings towards you that aren't necessarily your own, but you're feeling them because of their power.
It's the empathy aspect.
Yeah, but maybe you're kind of feeling it. You know? Maybe you're kind of into it. You know, I don't know. Maybe the dolphin's like, hey.
right.
And you're like, oh, well, I never really thought about that. But maybe.
He said, I never really thought about that. Oh shit. Now that you've planted that thought in my mind, how wet is it? That is crazy.
You had me at you had me at
Oh shit, y'all motherfuckers got me sweating. Oh man, that's hilarious. That's absolutely hilarious. I don't know where you go after that.
Right. I think that's it. I think that's all we have time for
that's a
today.
good point.
Oh shit. You can't hop back into telepathy after all
Not after you fucked a dolphin. However, this is a good time to circle back to the Titan vagina. So...
What's that pillow talk like? Shit, you don't even have to open your mouth. Like, you just thinking, like, was it good for you? Like, I don't know.
It's just that utter contentment. Like
I'm tired. Talk to me in my dreams.
I know. I'm hopeful that we've all left someone in that puddle after the act. You know how they're feeling. They're either completely dissociated in like chemical bliss, or
right.
I think you'd be able to tell the same with the dolphin.
Well, yeah.
But if they just sink to the bottom, I don't know. Like, what
does the dolphin do? Yeah,
it stops and it bobs. It floats at the top.
It just kind of hangs out.
But on its stomach,
but it's one eye. But they do sleep with one eye open though, so one eye is still open.
Yeah,
staring at you longingly.
Yeah, but this,
and you
one
swim away real slow, like.
There is one issue with your observation, Mike.
What's that?
So you're assuming that you're doing the fucking, okay? And I don't know that any humans ever fucked a dolphin, but you know what?
But you think a dolphin's fucked a human? Is that where you're getting at?
Oh, certainly.
Right.
A dolphin certainly fucked a human. But I'm trying to think, like, sometimes you can be, the fucker and then get fucked. And then you're like, oh shit. Oh my God. And then, maybe
you can't
the dolphin
do that with a dolphin. You gotta be a pretty good boogie boarder to pull that off.
Man, maybe the dolphin is like blown out of his mind. He's the He's the aggressor. And he is blown out of his mind. And then, maybe the human
I gotta
becomes
use the bathroom.
the fucky becomes the fucker. Maybe. That's all I got to say. I
The
don't know.
dolphin's like, what's your safe thought?
What's your safe spot? Exactly.
As it's pounding you underwater and you can't
Yes.
breathe.
Yes.
I would imagine though that's like being choked or doing the choking. Like,
Yeah.
it's
When you
that
say it like
erotic
that, it's
asphyxiation at that point, right?
yeah. I mean, when you say it like that, it makes it seem less, I don't know, but
I thought you were trying to go with the dolphins being the dom or the aggressor in this
well,
situation.
the dolphin is the dom. The dolphin is definitely the dom, right? The dolphin's definitely the dom. It's kind of like, chimpanzees and humans, they're stronger than us. Even though
That's
they
true.
might not be as big as us,
They're
they're stronger.
stronger, generally
They're
speaking.
going to rip your face off
Right.
or your limbs. I don't know. They're going to rip something off.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. That's facts. And I imagine dolphins are strong too because of the amount of like crazy shit that they can do just acrobatically and things like that.
Yeah, but they're
Can you
always
imagine
swimming.
getting slammed by something that can go in and out with perfect precision?
And it would have perfect precision because it's a dolphin,
Because it's a dolphin. It's their element. You're in the
Yeah.
water.
I mean, but not only is it
It's
their
home. It's
element,
home
but
base for them. It's a home game for them.
it is, but also they're smart as fuck, right? So they're
Right.
gonna,
That's
they're
why
gonna
he's
be
gonna
like
let.
very
He's gonna let.
targeted and shit.
That's why the dolphin's gonna let you come up for air and then
Oh
come
yeah.
back down and smash you.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
All right, hey
I don't
Cliff,
know.
hey Cliff, hey Cliff, hey Cliff. What's your safe thought?
Right. Listen, I don't know that it matters. Them motherfuckers have been known to bust through scuba gear. You hear what I'm saying?
Right.
Oh, I bet. Yep.
Wait. Great one from the chat, and props for this one to the Reeds. Dolphins are the reason that Cliff doesn't like the ocean.
Wait, what? The Cliff doesn't
Listen,
like what?
That Cliff doesn't like the ocean.
I can't say that I can't say that I would be high stepping out that motherfucker if it wasn't pulled up.
That's why you need your safe thought, Cliff.
You hear me?
You better make sure he knows it before.
That's wild.
They can't get me. I don't go but knee deep anyway. Listen, you ain't finna get me.
Until he lures you out there with that. What was it, Gordon? I can't do
Oh,
that. That's the siren song right there.
Listen, like that.
I mean,
I
that
ain't
would be
messing with no
hilarious
dolphins.
if there was like a movie and somebody's on the beach, right? And then maybe it's like close to nighttime and they're going out and they're getting like seashells or they have those jellyfish that glow at night. You ever seen
Right.
those before?
Uh-huh.
That's something. It's a thing. If you hadn't heard about it, it's a thing. They glow at night. So you go to the beach and there's fucking jellyfish glowing at night, and then you hear off in the distance, and you're like, oh, what is? But like if it was translated into human language, it would be like, hey, you. How are you? It'd be like kind of like
I'm telling you.
it'd be like a smooth, it'd be like
Right.
You think it would be
operator.
smooth? You don't think it would be a
It'd
cat
be
call?
like, hey, what's up, man?
Nah, because they got it.
It'd be like, hey, how are you? And he'd be like, oh, you would answer too. You would answer. You'd be like, oh, hey, dolphin. And oh, hey there, dolphin. And the dolphin would be like, why don't you come on over here? How are you? You look nice.
Come a little deeper.
They give
Come a
you a
little
little
deeper
they
than
give
knee
you a
high.
compliment. They give you a little compliment. They would say, you look like you've lost weight. Hey, have you lost weight? Do you remember that Family Guy episode where the
No.
sales guy comes out? The sales guy comes out. He's like, wow, have you lost weight? That's all you gotta say. That's all you gotta say. Have you lost weight?
Nah, I can't say I wouldn't talk to it though. It would just be from the shoreline, Indian style in the sand, doodling next to me, like, what'd you say? Doodling hearts in the sand, like, what, dolphin?
Now, not on my bingo card for tonight was 20 minutes of talking about sex with dolphins.
That is hilarious. Listen, I have not listened to a podcast back in a while, but you can rest the fucking shore.
This will be the episode. This will be the episode.
I'm listening.
Well, I mean, I think it just shows that you guys are not connected enough with nature, and this is why you bring me in. I bring you in here, and like Mike was like, we need a nature man to get on here with a fucking beard and shit, and I was like, all right, man, whatever, I'll get on there with a fucking beard and talk about some shit. And then that's why I showed up and talk about some fucking dolphins, So that's why I'm here,
Meanwhile, I brought you on because of the telepathy tapes, and now we're fucking dolphins.
Yes, well, that's happening.
But I guess it's all connected when you think about
why
it.
the dolphins. That's why the dolphins are fucking us.
Oh my god!
Because they cannot talk, but they can talk.
Was that in the dolphin the whale hunter South Park episode? Fuck you, dolphin! No,
that was
you.
In the whale. Do you remember that show Whale Wars?
Yes.
Whale Wars was on Animal Planet, and it was actually pretty interesting because these guys were going out like
trying to stop whalers, basically.
They were trying to stop whalers because like Americans are not whaling anymore. I don't think there's any European countries whaling, but Japan is still whaling and still using the meat from whales. And I don't know, like a lot of people think whales are pretty smart. I mean, whales are at least as smart as dolphins, right? They're probably a little bit smarter than dolphins. I would argue. I don't know. I mean,
I think it depends on the whale. Like I think the predator whales definitely are. The ones that are like bottom feeders.
The killer whale is pretty smart.
Yeah.
I think the blue whale is pretty smart too. I don't know. I think they're all pretty smart.
Probably.
I mean, like their communication is all like their communication is very
it's very unique per family. Like they have introduced
per family, and
like for orcas in particular, they've introduced or they've watched pods that haven't been able to interact because they don't speak each other's language, basically. And that there's when you get into like monitoring like J-pod versus what is it, JK, and then there's the bigs, their dialects are completely different. Like if you get recording of the whale song, it's completely different in terms of their communication. But that's not to say that like they can't communicate broad things with like they talk about with dolphins with telepathy and those kind of things.
Yeah, I think they would probably would be eventually able to bring that person into the pod.
Eventually. But it'd be like learning a new language. Like, yeah, you can do it, but it takes time.
I hadn't heard it put like that. And that is very interesting because we're all humans on the ground, right? We're all humans, but we don't all speak the same language.
Right.
And in water, they might be the same animal, but maybe they don't speak the same language. Which
that's and especially when you're talking different species and those kind of things. Like, I don't know. Do they view different species of whales and dolphins as like different races, but still, you know what I mean? Like how humans look at race.
I was gonna add something to that. So there's an episode of BBC. I don't know. It's like Planet Earth or like
one of those.
Planet Blue or Ocean, and that shit, by the way, is fantastic. If you get like smoke some weed or drink some beer and sit down and watch that shit, it's gonna blow your mind. But there's an episode where there are dolphins, and the next level above dolphin where they start kind of like turning into killer whales, but they're not quite there yet.
Gotcha. Yeah.
There's a species there. There's like multiple species
Oh,
there.
I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, and they're both, but they're all dolphins, right?
Right,
Just
right.
like you said, killer whales are dolphins, and they're in the dolphin family, and they shot it in like a very cinematic manner where it looks like they're about to attack each other, and they're like swimming, you know, because they're porpoising,
Yeah.
okay, hopping out of the water, coming back in, hopping out of the water, coming back in, right, and then it's like real aggressive. They're coming at each other, right, and then they get to each other. And then they just like start kind of like talking to each other and like kind of like hanging out and shit.
What up, man? It's like that scene in
Right.
Braveheart when the Irish
Yeah.
show up. I
It's
told you, it's
it is
my island.
precisely like that. It's precisely like that. It is precisely like that. And they don't look the same, but they are the same. They
Now,
are similar.
I have a question to your previous point, though, as far as another language. On the telepathy tapes, when they were talking about the hill, weren't there people from other countries?
Oh, that's a fantastic
So
question.
wouldn't that lead you to believe that source, the language of source, is universal, not that it's just going to be English or Arabic, or wouldn't it just be...
Twofold there.
That's a good question.
Twofold there. One, yes, I'm with you. Universal language of source. But two, they said that they've learned language from other people.
I did hear
at the
that.
Hill.
You are right. I did hear that.
So they've
But
had
in
someone
order to learn
teach
it,
them.
you would have to be operating under a universal to...
Well, you never know. There's plenty of people that can speak multiple languages. So you find one that, like, you could do the same thing on the Hill. Let's find one
like
that
a
speaks both.
translator of
Basically,
sorts?
yeah.
I think that whatever whatever they're saying, I think everybody can understand it.
Yeah,
I would
I'm with you.
imagine.
Because you're communicating communicating beyond words is what I would expect.
Right.
Like, yes, that's not having that
Yes.
experience myself.
That's it.
My assumption is they're communicating with images, they're communicating with feelings, they're communicating with
Right.
They're communicating beyond words, which is what happened in at the Ariel school in Zimbabwe. That's what happened. That those kids like they went up there, and the aliens popped out of the ship, and they're like, "You're not taking care of your planet." But no communication, no
verbal communication.
Right.
no verbal communication took place, and
But they all reported the same thing.
they all said the same shit, and they all like 20 years later saying the same shit. They're
Right.
like they didn't back off of it. They didn't back off. So
Well, and to be able to speak through consciousness, like, I think there's your universal translator. It's when you can reach that form of consciousness where you can share that non-verbally.
Yeah, the connection alone would have to let you know that it's beyond language.
Right.
For me to be able to see you in this plane lets me know that we're connected in a way that I don't need to know your language to...
that's right.
I agree with that.
That's right. Yep, I agree with that as well. Yep.
But
I mean, that's just
shit.
crazy. That's just crazy. They're not in any like next to each other, and they can meet on. One of my friends called it the astral plane,
Mhm.
and they can meet there and talk to each other,
Mhm.
and they're sharing information, and it's pretty clear that it's real. I mean, I think that's one of the things that Kai Dickens was going to try and prove next was the existence of
the Hill.
The Hill, but I think it exists. I mean, there's so much shit that I've already seen so far that leads me to believe that it probably does exist.
Right.
And
but it kind of goes back to me, at least. It goes back to the college conversation. Like, why like do all of this? Like, I understand why you're doing all this research to get it to the people out there that don't think in that way, but why not just get there yourself?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Why not focus your mind in all of those ways to try to get there yourself? spend time navigating your brain to, because that's all you're doing.
Yes. I think that there will come a time at some point in the future, I don't know when what you're saying will be a reality where, I mean, it's like the fucking Matrix, right? You just plug a program in.
You got to get rid of phones. You got to get rid of cell phones, cell towers, all of the abnormal energies that are around us that are, holding us in.
Maybe, or maybe it's in completely in the other direction. I don't know, but
I hear you. I understand
for
what you're
sure,
saying.
like the shit that these kids are doing is shit that doesn't need technology.
Right. There's
It does not.
evidence that
It
that
does
was the
not need
first
technology.
language.
Right.
Telepathy was the first language. There's evidence of that. So all of this new shit that you're putting up, I would imagine stops everything that they do, from fluoride in the water, toothpaste, to fucking chemicals in the food, are all forms of restraint. Like, we're trying to restrain you from the power that you naturally have.
I can't disagree with you, but I can't agree with you either.
Right.
But I can't disagree with you because I mean,
I feel like if it was
I
easy,
can't disagree with that in like an educated manner at this moment in time.
right.
But
I definitely welcome it. I want to, I don't always agree with myself. It's just what comes to mind, because I would imagine if that was the case, it wouldn't just be people with autism. There's a lot of people who meditate daily. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people.
I was one of them. I meditate.
I've slowed down a bit, but I still do.
You know, my problem was like I would wake up like hungover and then I would like try to meditate, and I don't think that you can really do that. You know,
I understand what you're saying. Like, you're already off of
your
equilibrium.
You're already off. Yeah, I don't think you can really do that. But I mean,
It's interesting.
Listen, I'll tell you what though. I'll tell you what. This is just a little interesting tidbit, right? It has nothing to do with dolphins fucking us.
I was about to say, here comes a fucking curveball.
Has nothing to do with us with telepathy and talking. I know, Cliff. You were mentioning that dolphin that one time you were on the beach, and, and you were drawing the hearts and shit, and hopefully you get like back to that, and hopefully the dolphin comes back at some point.
I'm still looking for the dolphin that my daughter kissed down in Florida. I'm gonna catch you, bitch. I'm gonna catch you, bitch.
Well, hopefully you get back, connected with your future son-in-law. But
shut the fuck up. Then he gonna have a blowhole on his head.
But one thing I noticed, I was taking Wing Chun for a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
I never told you guys that. I don't think I told you that.
Oh no, that was I'm following. Mm-hmm, that wasn't I know the story.
Yes.
Right.
Okay. Yes. Fair enough. So with Wing Chun, and I think most martial arts, you do like these drills and you go through the motions, right?
Right.
Eventually your body starts remembering that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Despite the fact that your mind may not remember it, your body does.
Right.
And there was a situation where I was out and about, just like being a clown, like going out and fucking around in Dallas, and I was hollering at this bitch, and this guy comes over, and I think he puts his hand somewhere on my body, and I didn't even like think about it.
You just reacted.
I just reacted. I didn't even think about it, and I did this motion that you train to do it,
right?
And you put your palm like that, and it took care of him very quickly.
I'm sure.
It dispatched him,
Where at least he had to think about what his next choice was.
He definitely had to think about what he was doing in relation to me.
Right. Right.
And I don't know. It's just that there's like I think those martial arts are it's like a form of, because I wasn't always drunk when I was going through the drills. It's like a form of meditation. I think it's like meditation in motion. Just like I think yoga and Tai Chi are
Right.
those are both martial arts,
Yeah.
Well,
but
they call them that, but
they're not. But what is your definition of martial? Like what
Right.
do uh
I mean, when I think of martial arts, I think of a form of defense, and you're not defending yourself in downward dog, or that actually could get pretty ugly for you. You know what I'm saying? If
Okay.
you get in
Especially if there's a
downward
dolphin
dog,
around.
right?
Yeah,
You know
if
what I'm
there's a
saying?
dolphin around, it's definitely getting ugly.
The fuck. So I mean, in Tai Chi is more so inward. You're looking inward and doing the motions.
I hear
It's not
you,
Have
anything that's
have
but
gonna
you
stop
I feel like
have you
someone.
heard
those are
have you heard
preps
there? I
for.
just want to throw this in. I just want to throw this in real quick, Mike. Have you heard that there are combative forms of Tai Chi?
Well, and even if there aren't, or either way, like that inward centering is important before you go into something like that.
Right.
Like
That's
Oh,
what I
that
was
was
certainly,
something
certainly,
saying.
yeah,
my
certainly.
college
Yep.
coaches talked about that all the time, especially for like the hammer throw. Like that was part of our pre meet warm up was you have 15 minutes. Go sit, go lay down, visualize.
Well,
Well, that
that's most sports. You know
I
what I'm
agree.
saying? Most sports you don't do well without visualization
Visualization. Yep.
first. Because when you're in that moment, you don't have time to think in the same
Right.
speed of
Right.
your
Right.
natural. You know what I'm saying? So
So
if you
your
don't have a
body has to think
plan,
for you.
right?
A hammer throw is 6 seconds. Yeah.
And I do that like when I'm doing cardio at the gym, like I'll get there and it'll be like hella rough. You know what I'm saying? Like my legs will be hurting. I'm losing my breath more than I usually do. And what I usually tell myself is just teleport. And when I don't know what it is, but it clicks something on in me to where when I look back up, it's the end of it all. Like you
you're
Yeah.
started at a half an
disassociating.
hour, now you got 2 minutes left.
It's funny
So
because the Reeds talked about that too. She sent in a chat early on that I missed. It was spending time with yourself sounds a lot like ultra running. Talking about meditation,
Yeah.
like trying to open yourself to those kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
Ultra running. What is ultra running?
Anything
Is that like a marathon or
Across
what?
the country, Forrest Gump it.
anything over a marathon is technically an ultra marathon. So
Interesting.
anything longer than 26.2 miles. So
Is that
50K.
wait? Who is that? Your mother? That's
Yeah, she's still doing all that shit.
No, is that your mother commenting?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Yes, she was like, I mean, first of all, running marathons is like some crazy shit.
Right.
Yeah.
And then to have your mother doing it is even crazier.
As long as your mom's been doing it, there's no way she hadn't shit on herself one time. There's no way she hadn't got
That-
runner's trots or something on a 26.5-mile run.
That's not even the long ones.
I've heard stories because I was running cross country in high school. I've heard stories of people like shitting, and then like the shit would just come out of their shorts and fall
Right.
down.
Right.
And
Right.
I heard stories about it. I never did it myself, but for sure I was never holding
I'm
in gas.
shitting 7 miles in. I'm like,
Oh yeah.
I
Oh,
can't
yeah.
do this. I'm
That's
about
like-
to shit myself.
That's like my dog. He can go before we go for a walk, but as soon as we hit that mile marker, that mile and a half marker, he takes
I gotta shit, G. I gotta shit.
You loosened up everything that was sitting in there.
Like now that we're talking about it, like I remember in high school, there would be like
Why is
did-
it always liquid too? It's never fibery. You know what I'm saying? It's always liquid. Like
yeah, like I remember we did 5Ks, right? 3.1 miles in high school. And just starting that shit. I remember the first race I did was kind of crazy. But like later on in the season, I mean, there's a couple crazy ass stories, but we, just getting towards the end of that run, you have like people kind of like at the end, and they start cheering you on. It's like, oh yeah, you almost finished, you almost did it, and you get just from them being there, you get a little bit of a spiritual,
Right.
It's that sense of community. It's that
yeah,
Like a
it is.
recharge,
it's
like a second
You get a
wind.
little bit of a recharge. You really
Uh-huh.
do. Where it's like, oh shit, there's people here, and they're like cheering me on. They may not know you. They may not give a fuck about you. They may not like you. But they're there, and they're like, oh yeah, hey, you got it. You got this.
That's that
Da, 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 da.
mycelium.
right. Well, and to circle it back to the telepathy tapes, because they talk about this at a point, is that it's easier for them to do that type of communication in a loving, positive environment, but negative thoughts will disrupt it.
Right.
And that's part of the reason why it's hard to do, like, quote unquote formal research on it, because a lot of the time that formal research is just trying to disprove it and just put that negative energy on it and just put those negative thoughts out there, which disrupts the connection.
Right.
Which, again, if you're thinking that telepathy is, to your point, accessing the source, accessing a higher consciousness, the all, the God, whatever it is, then they use that to talk about, like, that's why it's harder not to play at home, or it's athletes are the ones who have learned how to tune that shit out, but they're also cutting themselves off
But
from those broader feelings, that broader community, that broader
I mean,
consciousness in that
that's
space.
hard. I
I
mean,
know I know that it's okay. I know that it's not, this isn't a necessary connection to source, of course. I agree with everything you said, but there's also people who accomplish more than anyone else based off of that negative
I agree.
energy.
I hear you.
That negative energy is the drive that makes them get to the point. Now, again, I don't think that that helps you connect to source, because that's the opposite of what source is. But I do think that there are certain people
Or maybe
whose
it's that you
connections can't be
they
disrupted
they
in a
they
sense.
that's
thrive
what
they
I was
thrive
just
off
gonna
of the
say.
negativity.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
it's that negativity almost forces the channel for them to connect to whatever they're connecting.
That's what it is. That's what it is. That's what it is. It forces them into a flow state.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what it is.
Bingo. I like the word. Good choice.
Kanye.
Is it Kanye with flow state? Damn it.
Yeah, Kanye. That's what he did. There was Dave Chappelle was like, he was doing an interview or something, and then he was talking about how he was sitting there with Kanye, like on the Chappelle show. And by the way, like, aren't we so lucky to have lived through that?
Live through
Right.
the Chappelle show? Amen.
Right. That was universally loved.
Aren't we so lucky to have lived through that, right? But he was talking about how Kanye was like sitting there, and I don't know what I think they were just talking or whatever, and then somebody called Kanye, and he was like, "Oh, I'm just on the Chappelle show because I do shit like that," and then he hung up, right? And that kind of embodies him. It's just like this arrogance, this confidence, and what's the difference? Where's
Yeah.
the line? Where's the line between arrogance and confidence?
I mean, but you got to
There
believe
is
to
a line,
achieve.
but
Right.
And a lot of times, the person who is delusionally confident can run through walls because the person who is aware of the situation is so hesitant and nervous that it's like, this could happen, that could happen. But when
Right.
you're
Distract
delusionally
taking this.
confident, none of that matters. I
Right.
know I'm going. I know where I'm going. I know where I'm headed.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I have nothing to add to that. That's a fantastic statement.
And with us hitting 2 hours, that might be the one we close out on.
Yeah, but also like, man, there was a dolphin in my past.
Do it.
And
That's what you call that's just another term for those sweaty girls that are at the bar and you put your hand on their shoulder and you're like, what in the fuck is going on? You fucking dolphin? What the fuck is wrong with you? You got a membrane on your shoulder?
Oh
Start
man.
rubbing her head for a blow. Like,
Oh man. What do you call what's like a good dolphin name?
put your finger in her mouth.
No. What's a good human dolphin name? Like
Fred.
I don't know.
Daisy.
Gordon.
Daisy.
Maybe.
Gordon and Daisy.
Gordon and Daisy. Maybe.
I don't feel like a dolphin would know what a daisy is. I'm just saying.
I was just trying to think like Shamu.
Nah, it just has to be. It has to be something that.
Shamu is like a whale name. That's not a dolphin.
Yeah.
It's gotta be like
him.
Shamu, but smaller.
I just popped up crazy.
Shimmy. There you go.
Shimmy shot.
I just popped up a crazy thought.
What's that?
I don't even know if I want to share it. So, the Kentucky Derby this year, fun fact. Okay. Every one of the horses that were competing in the Kentucky Derby were all descendants of Seabiscuit.
Interesting. And this already happened, or this is about to happen?
Yeah, this was a couple weeks ago, I believe.
Okay.
I've heard it's a lot. I heard the Kentucky Derby is an event like with like a lot of hot girls and a whole bunch of shit.
I don't know that I would never go because it makes me feel like we're going
never go for the girl in the
hat.
Never go for the girl in the hat.
You know what I'm saying? The way they dress gives me like slave servant.
Yeah,
era.
It's classic. It's like a classic kind of thing.
They call it classic. I call it
the girl in the hat.
They call it classic. I call it antebellum.
I call it something else. But it just makes me think like I would imagine that some of those horses, I mean, they're literal inbreds, right? You know what I'm saying? But how do you get?
Is that right?
Right?
Not necessarily.
I don't know about that.
They just have one parent.
They might have the genetics of Seabiscuit.
But how many breeders are there?
It's a lot. It's a lot of horse breeders. I mean,
I would imagine to have what? How many horses? 25 horses in there? You're not going to 25 different breeders.
This
is a massive country. This is a massive country.
Seabiscuit was fucking.
But I'm just saying that's the 1%, right?
And also, hold on, Seabiscuit was fucking, and also Mr. Franklin was like making money as well. So you know, Mr. Franklin was making money, making horses fuck.
It just would be shocking to me to think that whether you went to a whole bunch of different ones, all of them, like Seabiscuit's genes alone were enough to get them all there. Every one of the horses all descendant.
Yeah, makes sense. He was the one, right? He was the one that made it happen.
Well,
why wouldn't they be like, let's take the genes from the one that made it happen and make more of that?
I agree, right? But the other half plays a factor as well. So even though there may be hundreds of breeders across the country, how many of them are top? You know what I'm saying? Like, I know for a fact that the horse breeders are like, this one specifically is the one that we want to breed.
Well, and even if they are inbred, though, it doesn't mean they're same generation inbred. Meaning it could be like second cousins, third cousins.
Okay.
Because Seabiscuit was like what, 1950, like the 40s?
I don't know.
I thought it was like 80s or something.
Yeah, I thought it was recent too, but maybe we're both wrong. I don't know. Maybe
I don't know. I didn't see too many horses running with a limp.
This is Wikipedia saying Seabiscuit. So the horse lived from 1933 through 1947.
Oh, yeah, okay. and you don't realize
the movie came out in like the mid 2000s.
Yes, but you don't realize that I just went in there and edited that just before you looked at them. You don't even
It's-
fucking realize that, do you?
That's fair.
That's the power of the internet.
That's
Just
true.
Kidding. Just kidding. I didn't do that. But I mean, I don't think it matters. I think if you got this superhuman horse, like for example, we got RC Biscuit is named Shaquille O'Neal. Okay, so Shaquille O'Neal, like all he has to do is have like 30 kids, and they're all gonna be gigantic,
but that don't mean that they're
right?
all Shaquille O'Neals. You feel what I'm saying?
That's
Like
I mean,
C
certainly, maybe like half
Biscuit,
of
But
them,
if you're
maybe half.
but if you're talking like
he
4
ain't got one in
generations,
the league.
Well, but are they all big?
They're all 6'8" and above. Not
Okay,
one of
well,
them's
that's
in the
the
league
fucking
yet.
answer right there,
maybe they didn't work as hard as he
right?
did. It's also
Or
a different
maybe
game
it was
now.
the wrong breeder. You feel what I'm saying? You bred wrong.
I guess.
Uh,
I don't know.
Also a possibility, which is why I always used to joke in college about hooking up with the record holder for the hammer throw, Katie.
Oh yeah.
You met Katie, Cliff.
Mm-hmm.
6 foot, 6'1". Oh,
Your kids will throw
the
the shit
children,
out of that hammer.
the children we could have had.
They would
And I
hammer the
still got
shit
a
out of that
monster,
throw.
so there you go.
Top heavy than a bitch. Like, we can't do nothing but throw shit. I don't know why the fuck they didn't put me here.
That's like special teams. It's like hammer throw special teams.
Get
Like,
the fuck out of here. I hate you both.
like,
And with
like-
that, goodbye.
That's funny.
bring out the hammer throw. The hammer thrower.
Seabiscuit Reggie.
All right, well, I got yeah, exactly. See, you see, that's the shit that we've been talking about. You said, all right, well, I said, all right, well, that's the shit right there. Okay,
No doubt.
the shit, we're just connected, you know. So we're just all connected.
Amen. All right. Gordon, you got any last words? Not to spin us off on another topic, but anything you want to say before you hop off or before we hop off?
Oh, we're still going?
I haven't shut the show
That's a good
down
question.
yet.
That's a good question. It's been a good while. It's been a good while.
I will say that I seen that movie Sinners over this week.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
you did. All right, go ahead.
I mean, I enjoy. This is the geeky coach here with my 60-second review.
do you do movie reviews?
No,
I do.
I
I
don't.
do.
No, I don't.
Oh, okay, that's yours. Yeah.
That's his tagline. But nah, it was a good movie. I think it was a bit overrated. Like, I expected more. I'll say that.
That's just because you heard so much about it before.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what it was. It was a good movie though. I love
Yeah.
the ending. I've never seen a horror flick have a good ending like that.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
But the movie itself was just a, like a post slavery vampire movie.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, interesting.
There's a lot of entendre involved, but
what does that mean? Versus a double entendre. What is a single entendre? I don't even know.
just like they're referencing things based off of characters.
It's
and
allegorical.
parts. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, all right.
That means something deeper than
Like all of Jordan Peele's movies are.
yeah, and
Right.
it was good.
Or is
I will say at the end of it was funny because what's crazy about it is I think I went on like a Tuesday at 10:45. The show started at 10:45. I didn't expect it to be too many people in there. There were more people in there than I expected it to be.
That's why it's killing at the box office.
Right, a lot more white people than I expected it to be. But what was funny was how like the movies used to have like the doors on both sides where you could go in to go down either aisle.
Yeah.
Yep.
For whatever reason, the theater I was in only had one side in the it was almost like they covered up the door because it was still the cubby hole, like you could turn to go
Gotcha.
that way, but it
Yeah.
ended up just being a wall. I'm
Basically,
walking.
you went to a budget movie.
I went to
Sounds like
Easton. I was at Easton.
Okay.
Oh,
But
Easton used to be the shit, but
It
now I
did.
think it's
All
Right.
theaters have kind of suffered.
They said we don't need two
used
doors
to,
anymore.
do you remember it used yeah, we don't fuck with doors anymore. I got kicked out of Easton one time because I was being a nigga and I was being loud and disruptive, with my friends.
Listen though, I'm walking out of the movie. I'm like the first one out of there, right? Like it's one of them joints where like the Marvel, like where they run the credits, but there's still more going
Post
on
credits or
after.
whatever. Yeah.
And I figured as much, right? So I'm walking out as the credits are rolling, and I stop like before I walk down the thing to go out. So I'm watching it. The second part comes on. The movie ends. I walk out of the theater. It's this nigga sitting Indian style, head in his hands like this. He was waiting to clean the movie theater. Like he had like the dustpan and the brooms like sitting next to him. But he's sitting like in the dark. Like, it's a cubby, so there's no light. He's sitting in the dark like this, staring as I'm walking out the theater. So it caught me off guard. I'm like, all right, you have a good one. He gonna say, you enjoy your day, my brother. Like real militant. Like, and I swear on everything I love, I wanted to stop and wait for all the white people to come out of the theater. I felt like he was doing it on purpose. Like he knew. Like he knew. It was the weirdest shit I had ever seen. But I swear on everything, I wish I would have pulled my camera out and just filmed from the back as people was coming out of that theater.
But you know what?
I'd have had gold.
You know what? It wouldn't have been as appropriate though. It wouldn't
What
have
you
been
mean?
it wouldn't have been the same kind of moment because that was for you.
It was.
Right. But
That was
if he
a
hit,
moment
he
for
hit
you.
me with that, what faces was he making as they came out of the theater?
Oh,
Right.
certainly,
In the
certainly.
dark,
Yeah.
in the dark, crisscross applesauce with his head in his hands. Like I was thinking, like this nigga might be a fucking night walker right here. He waiting to turn some motherfuckers.
The Reed's chiming in with she agreed that Sinners was awesome. She loved it.
It was good. It was good. I was just expecting more.
Yeah.
It takes a lot for me to really be like,
Yeah,
like I'm like one of them people that's giving out 3.5 out of 5 type shit.
You're a tough.
He's a tough critic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're a tough critic. Yeah, and like you that means that you should be doing like a little.
Amen. That's why you
show,
should
right?
be doing little
If
60-second
if you're
videos.
like,
I
if
would give
everybody-
it a 3.9 out of 5.
Okay. If the whole world is like, oh my God, this is so amazing, and Cliff is like, I didn't really like the plot line, and the characters were ill developed. If Cliff is like very critical of it, that means that you should be a
You
critic,
just could have
right?
gave me more, and then everybody was riding Michael B. Jordan's dick like he played two different. They were twins. They were twins. Stop it! It wasn't like he was playing two different characters. He was playing the same guy, just dressed different.
Well, I mean,
one was just a little slick talker than the other. Like it was.
Well, I mean, a twin is a different person, right? I mean,
right, but it's
just
like
looks the same, right?
It's not. It wasn't that big of a contrast, is what I'm saying. Like you didn't play
Eddie
two
Murphy.
people.
Eddie Murphy played every single
Now,
one
that's
of the
what I'm
clones.
talking
He played 9 characters in The Nutty Professor.
That's what I'm talking about. This nigga played 1.5 people in Sinners.
If you would have, you should have.
But he did it well.
As you were walking out, you should have been like, if you would have done 10 characters, maybe.
He did it well, though. I'll give him that.
I mean, have you seen this new? I will say that movie that Shelby recommended, Devotion, is a fantastic movie.
Is it?
I don't know nothing about that.
I love that one. That's a fantastic movie. I mean, you should maybe you should watch it this weekend if you have no time. And I'm a Jonathan Majors fan. I like him. I think he does good work,
I
and
think
I
he
think
does
he
too, and I also think he
okay.
got caught up in some shit. So,
I think he caught up. I think he got caught up in some bullshit that was not what they made it out to seem.
I
Oh,
think
this already been out.
they
This is okay.
were cutting him down.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to
they were
check
trying
this
to cut
out
him down
tomorrow.
Yeah,
exactly. And then he was also the bad guy in like the Marvel movies, which I haven't seen, but I imagine he's good. If he's as good as he is in Devotion, I'm sure he's good in that.
he's good in that, and he was good in the third Creed movie too.
It's
Oh,
some
the
old.
Creed movie. I never saw the Creed movie either. He was good in that.
Yeah,
Yeah, he did all right in that.
I mean,
This some
the
old Tuskegee Airmen shit.
it's past that. It's beyond that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but same thing. Same thing. Yeah, you'll like it. You'll like it if you watch it. I thought you would have seen it by now, but
I've never heard of it.
that was
yeah,
another one that
I'm
got
gonna have to check
buried.
it out.
very good. Very good movie. Very good movie. I watched it like that's what I was saying. I watched it like 5 times. It was just good. I
Oh,
mean, but
okay.
I just like war movies. So I don't know if you're quite like me and like you just
Yeah,
like war
I get
movies,
into
but
them.
yeah, but I mean, like
That's more his speed than the Marvel movies.
Definitely. I don't
Okay.
like superhero shit.
Yeah, because like real shit's happening, I guess.
Right. I've seen real ones. I guess I'd put it like that.
Yeah.
I don't need your depiction of what one is.
Right.
Yeah.
All right,
So
fellas. I hate to shut this down, but I got to take a kiddo to a soccer game tomorrow.
oh, but don't I get some
Yeah.
closing
So
remarks?
what are your closing remarks, Gordon? Go for it.
Leave the dolphin alone.
I mean, maybe.
He's like, Daisy, I know you're out there.
Maybe, Daisy. I don't know. I don't really have anything for you. The first time I saw the BBC Planet Earth, I had just moved out of my house, and my dad had sold the house up there in Columbus, and I moved to this apartment complex on the north side of town near the continent,
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
which by the way is like a weird. Is it still weird? Back when I was there, it was like this. It was like 10 years ago. It was like a weird. It's like a weird uh time capsule.
You
Some
talking about huh?
It is.
It still is that way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had offices and they had apartments, and it was just like this thing that just never evolved past the 90s.
Right.
Yeah, I guess you could say. Uh-huh.
It's just a weird thing. It's a weird thing. There's places like that all in probably in most cities. But um uh yeah, so there was an apartment that I moved to up there, right? And this girl, I met her in the park across the street, like right before I moved in Franklin Park. And she was like this kind of hippie girl. So she was real big about taking her shoes off and shit. And I went over there and she was like meeting some guy. And I was like, hey, how are you? What's your name? Blah blah blah, right? And she ended up ditching that guy and coming and hanging out with yours truly.
Nice.
And I took her up to my room in the house over there on Franklin Park South, because I don't know. That's where I was living at the time, right? And she's in my bed and she takes her shoes off and her feet are dirty as fuck.
Black as
And
shit.
she's like digging her heels into my sheets.
Fuck
And
your
there's like
couch. Fuck your
black
bed, Gordon.
streaks.
Fuck your
There's
bed.
black streaks on the sheets. And
You
I was
seen her
like,
barefoot at the park. What are you talking about? You should have told her leave your feet at the door.
leave your feet at the door.
You hear what I'm
Right?
saying?
And I was like, what the fuck? But the thing was, she was cute and she had some big, she had a large chest. And, it made it better, but kind of not. Like, don't get into my bed and get my sheets dirty with your fucking dirty ass feet.
Your couch, nigga.
Just start
Buy
to.
another one, you rich motherfucker.
That's his closing
Your
remarks.
couch, nigga.
That's
He
my
must,
closing
got,
remarks.
he must got a date tomorrow.
I don't have a date tomorrow. I don't.
Just make sure her feet are clean if you get one.
Just if you have a date tomorrow,
Making
you
sure your feet are clean.
make sure your girl's feet are clean.
Some people like the dirty feet ones.
Cliff,
Some
you
people
got
like the
any?
dirty foots. Love everybody, even the dolphins, the dirty feet, the young ladies at the bar with membrane on their shoulders.
Oh my goodness.
And spend some time with yourself. Maybe you'll be able to visit the hill one day.
Amen.
Yeah, maybe. I think we all can. I think we can all visit the hill. I
Mhm.
think we all can.
I'm with you. All right.
Yes.
Do us a favor. Like, share, subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Tell an enemy. Tell them to troll. Check us out on all social media at FoolProofNet for the clips. The clip show from on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts. We still are publishing those, and we're still getting pretty good views with them, Cliff. So let's keep that up. And with all of that, peace out.
This has been Full Do Fools Agree.